precious name, Lord Jesus. And all God's people said,
Amen.
Amen. Okay. So, chapter 22 is kind of like one, you don't have to struggle to find interesting stuff, right? Lots of application, too. And we, of course, we're talking about when God asked Abraham to sacrifice his one and only son, Isaac. And that was kind of like the apex of the curve. We've been talking about Abraham, just like with us, right? God is growing Abram. He was growing him. And this was kind of like the quintessential test, because God called it a test, right? The Lord tested Abraham. And big test. And I guess, when we read that, we really couldn't come, and the Bible does not give us like, okay, why would you do that, God? Why would you ask something like that? Which is kind of how tests happen to us. Things come at us, and we really don't have any explanation for them, and sometimes they're very difficult to deal with. And this is where you learn to just trust God. You just learn to trust Him. He knows, and you probably won't get all the answers that you want. And learning to accept that too. And a lot of people can't. And it just tears them up. And so one more important thing is just learn to trust God, to let things go, and figure if He wants you to know and understand. We don't have to know and understand everything. We think we should, but I think there's something to learning this. Look, I don't get it, and I'm fine with it, right? So now we get to chapter 23, and a little more mundane, but yet more trauma for Abraham. But this you knew was coming. But we'll just read through. Maybe I'll get to verse 9. And like as always, I read. That's a lot of work, which means that you have to do the rest of it. You got to figure out everything. Anyway, okay. And like we prefaced before, we're obviously not getting a blow-by-blow description of Abraham's life. We're getting selected events. Highlights or lowlights. Some of them are kind of like, but what's the highlight about this? But in other words, there is a reason why the author puts it in, but it isn't always apparent. Okay? But anyway, we're going to see. So Sarah lived 127 years. So that would be what? If she had Isaac when she was 90?
He'd be 37.
Yeah. One of the things I never thought, one of the things that Mike Cernovich brought up, it never occurred to me that he was talking about with his group, how long should you wait to have children to where you shouldn't have them? And I'm thinking, well, whenever you can have them, have them. But then he pointed out that if you wait too long, your son or daughter has to experience your death, as you know, at an early age. Then maybe they're ready to. And that could be very difficult. I never thought about that. So in this case, Isaac's only, how old? We said 37. You could test to this, Lisa. That's kind of early. Kind of early. Maybe I don't know if your parents, they died early.
She was 80, and I just was going to be 50.
Okay.
Your dad died.
My dad died 10.
But yeah.
Years ago, yeah. So I was 40.
Anyway, but still, I never thought about it anyway. So yeah, of course, his whole situation was kind of.
His parents, they're 70 and they were 90. I'm like, that's pretty good.
Okay.
Grandparents, it's unusual.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
And the opposite of it, I guess.
Right. Yeah, you're close to your grandparents, huh?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's something I did not have because we were transplants from. So I had no ties. And I definitely could see growing up that I missed that. I missed the ties, but hence that's the way life is, right? But anyway, here, okay, she's 127 years old, and these were the years of the life of Sarah. And Sarah died at Kiriath Arba. That is Hebron. We could see my Bible's in parentheses. So this is probably a later insertion. So the people who are reading it later on, maybe 8th century BC, they're like, oh, that's Kiryat Arba is interesting because by the time you get to the book of Joshua, you see the giants. Remnants of the giants live there. Okay. And I believe Hebron is where King David was king for 7 years in Hebron, and then all of Judah. So it's kind of a stronghold. And I think Hebron, if I'm not mistaken, Caleb is the one who smacked down those last 3 remaining giants because he wanted more territory. God says I could have every piece of land I set my foot on. I'm now 85 years old, just as strong as ever. And I'll go in there and I'll slap those giants down and take the whole place. And which he did. He did. Kiryat Arba. Okay.
So I
Okay.
expect you to be able to do that, Jim, next year.
Yeah, he was. So remember, at age 40, him and Joshua, 40 years, wanting 80, and then 85 when they finally comes around to him. Like, nope, I don't need no help. I'll take care of this. But anyway, another detour. I might have another one too coming up. And Sarah died at Kiryat Arba, that is in Hebron, in the land of Canaan. And Abraham went in to mourn for Sarah and to weep for her. And Abraham rose up from before his dead and said to the Hittites, or your Bible might say the sons of Heth. Yeah.
Sons of Heth, yeah.
So Heth, so I don't think it's the Hittites that we might think come out of Turkey. Might be another group. But anyway, the sons of Heth. Canaan fathered Sidon. Sidonia, right? Which the Phoenicians came from the Sidonians. I think Solomon, I want to say he elicited help from the Sidonians, right? They're pretty Sidonians too, where if you're the mystery schools, they kind of put Sidonians being when the mystery schools first started. And by the way, there's a place on Mars that's called Sidonia. That's for free. That's for free. And all kind of interesting relationship between the Sidonians, mystery schools, and Sidonia, Mars. Like I say, you won't hear that in the pulpit, but you'll hear that here.
Okay.
But I bring that up because you had Canaan was the father of Sidon, and Heth, sons of Heth. So, son of Canaan, right? Okay. Anyway, so these people, Abraham rose up from before his dead and said to the Hittites, now, I am a sojourner and foreigner among you. Give me property among you for a burying place, that I may bury my dead out of my sight.
Okay, stop, please.
Yes.
Why would you say out of my sight? What does that mean? Obviously cultural, but
Mine says, so I can give my wife a proper burial.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to just stay
Yeah.
in a tent.
What's your version? Okay.
Yeah.
NLT, New Living.
Yeah, I kind of,
Yeah,
and I
mine
think that's
says
probably what it
decently.
means. Sometimes, so I imagine in the Hebrew, when this was written, sometimes your more literal translation will try to be more literal. And so, but yeah, we're like, oh, well, what does that mean? What other ways does it say?
Mine says decently, but
Decently.
um,
Makes sense. Out of my sight. I want to see your dead
it's
body.
interesting that he wants to bury her there in the land of Canaan, right?
Yeah.
Because that's the promised land.
Yes.
And Isaac told Joseph, "Do not leave me here and bury me here. Carry me back.
Bring my bones back
So-
with you.
Have being buried in their promised land, even though it's not the promised land yet."
Yes.
Abraham must have some kind of idea about the future.
Well, he does. He was promised that. Now, you both bring up, see, I'm glad you guys stopped it because let's just get into it right now. So, okay. In our culture, body schmoddy, what's it matter? What matter where they're buried? Doesn't matter. But yet they seem to really care about where the dead body is buried. Why? What's a body?
But the burial site, I mean, culturally today, we like to be able to say, I know my mother's buried in Exeter, Ontario. If I choose to go up there, I can go to her grave
Yeah.
site. But I mean, she's not there. I know where she is. That's just her remains that are there.
Or is it? That's kind of the right. And so that's how we look. That's why now we would cremate, because for us, which is really not Christian, and it's not Old Testament, it's more Plato and paganism, which is the body is looked at as this shell, and the real you is inside, right? So the body don't matter. Torch the body, but it seems like the body mattered, and they still refer to it as Sarah. Sarah's still there. The body's still there. So to your point, the reason why you'd want to know where they live, because you want to go visit them. There's bodies still there. And that also helps us now to understand the resurrection, why the resurrection is so important, that you're raised bodily. So that's kind of fascinating to me. So we're all steeped in the same Platonian culture, wouldn't know anything any different. Right?
Jim, can I throw this
Yes,
at
sir.
you? I'm gonna need your help a little bit to feel that.
And I'm gonna have to ask you back for help, because I don't know.
All right, I know the body is somewhat, even the bones, because when Lisa and I read together, you know, I already know where I'm.
No, I don't know yet. You're perfect.
In Kings,
Yes.
you remember the prophet? One of the prophets.
Yes.
I
I
somebody
think it's Elisha or Elijah. Yeah.
Elijah found his bones. His bones healed somebody.
Yes.
Isn't that
Amazing.
the wildest thing?
That is, and you're hitting on it, because remember, Joseph said, even after his body's decayed, because we're talking a lot of years later, and take my bones up.
Yeah.
So normally you would bury the body, because by the way, this is like a cave, more like a cave. When they built their tombs, they built tombs in rock, and you'd put the body in, and then once the body decayed, you would take the bones and you would just kind of either put them in something, or you'd put them towards the back of the cave. Now, in New Testament times, you have that ossuary, I think you call it,
Yeah.
and that's where you put the bones in that. But as you could see, those bones still meant something. The body was kind of, and what's been kind of pointed out to me, which I think is kind of fascinating, is they're going the great pains to go, this is where she's buried. And as you pointed out, this is where you go to see her.
Yeah, and that's why it amazes me. Today we had this Neptune Society go cremate and scatter the ashes out in the ocean. I said, no, I don't.
Well, isn't it fascinating? The
Personally.
Neptune Society, Neptune is pagan to the right.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely. But
the pagan Neptune god.
personally, I don't like the thought of having ashes
Yeah.
scattered. No. I want to have,
I've done a ceremony like that before. I thought none of it went out to the sea and threw the ashes out, because that's where he liked to fish.
Well, Vivian asked Jim to please scatter Bill's ashes up the canyon in Calamasa, because he loved it up there.
He loved it up there.
And so he scattered.
You ever see that? Not necessarily the news.
Pardon?
Not necessarily. It came out years ago, where it's investigative journalism, where this guy was at a funeral home, and the guy was taking the leader of the funeral home. He was taking ashes of people and mixing them all together.
Yeah.
And the guy goes, "You can't do that." He goes, "Oh yeah, you're right." And then, "You can't mix people's ashes together." He goes, "Oh yeah, you're right. Oh, well, these don't belong to anybody." Take the cigarette ash. That's what it reminded me of when he said that. Anyway, okay. That's also for free. That's not real out there. Yeah, I just kidding.
Out of the barbecue, out of our barrel, back the ashes yet. No.
Not yeah. It was a pretty funny show. It didn't last very long.
I wonder why. But there is something about having a specific place that I know where so-and-so's
Yes.
and that's why I actually talked somebody out of having their ashes scattered. I said, you have children. They may want to say, this is where my mom is buried. I I never thought of it like that. And so she changed her mind and was not.
Anyway, so one thing we kind of learned, right, he's so he wants to secure a burial place. We'll get a little more into that for Sarah. Her, even the way he kind of speaks, and so he's mourning for Sarah, right? And he rose up before his dead, said to the Hittites, "I am a sojourner and foreigner among you." Now that's a tip because God says I'm giving this land to you as inheritance. But now he's been in the land for what, 62 years maybe? Came into 40, not longer. If she's 127, that makes him 137. He came in at 75, I'm sorry.
So 25 and 37 is 52?
Yeah, and he's been, but yet he still
59.
sees himself as a sojourner. He
Foreigner.
doesn't, right?
Yeah.
So give me property among you for a burying place. So he's not going to like just dig up the ground where he is and put her in there and put a cross like you'd see in the desert.
Yeah.
No. We need by the way, and he's securing a burial place, probably also because I think about 4 or 5, or I think Isaac was buried there, Jacob was buried here, I think Leah and Rebecca, right? See, these are all kind of foreign, like I never would grow up, I never would have thought about, but no, it was really important.
So family.
Yeah.
Family.
And as you point out, Linda, in the promised land. It's like right? You see what I'm getting at, because you would think, well, we say things like, well, I don't care what you do with it. I'll be gone. Well, they're like, no, I want my body here.
What
in
was
this
it
land.
that Job said? He said, I know my Redeemer lives.
Yeah.
And
I
on the
will
land or
see
something,
him.
Yes.
I will see him
In my flesh. Yeah.
in my flesh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Decidedly different from paganism and what we would, and Plato, of course, in Plato, we're all of this is like the shadow, the realities, the heavenly, right? Anyway,
Hey Jim, with
Yes.
us talking about it a little bit, do you lean that cremation is okay, or do you lean kind of like, man, you should stay away from that?
I lean now, especially after what I've learned now. I definitely lean where body. I would say not cremation, but I realize that I'm learning away late, and some people have already done that.
Yeah.
And this is where praise the Lord for God's grace,
Mm-hmm.
right? You look over, right? And so, but going forward, that's how I always look at it. You can't change the past, but going forward, if you ever get a chance, it helps them. Yeah, because you could see how critical the body. And by the way, you've got, you see like the cemeteries. There wasn't that long ago. The church is always you buried your, and then the cemetery is always facing towards the east, right? Towards the sunrise, the temple, the door. Yeah, so always towards the east. At least that one is up here, east, and you will notice cemeteries they've
Oh,
always point towards the east, the sunrise, right?
Yeah.
your dad's pointing to the east.
Yes.
Is it okay? I'm glad. That's yes, I always heard. Yeah,
Thank you for letting me know.
Yeah. yeah. So this is all new for me too. I wouldn't have thought anything about it, and it's kind of fast. In fact, what's really bizarre? Speaking of bodies, the Eastern Orthodox father, he still claims. He said he felt it. Which hand is like you go to a certain place over in some country, and they have I don't know, some church, ancient church, and in it is one of the bodies of like one of
Mary Magdalene.
them, and they have a hand, and it's still warm. And he says, I felt it's still warm. There's some bizarre.
They have her.
They have like a hand or something of her, isn't it right?
Yep.
And it's still, he says, and I was there, and it's still warm, and it's and it goes back to the whole idea of life and some of the saints, right? Because they're so close to Jesus in life, because that's where true life comes from, that they, anyway, see, all this stuff is like, I've heard and knew nothing about this. And so it's a new way. But yes, that's how I would lean. And so for the record, if I die in the next couple of years, you guys know we'll dig a ground where we're putting his body.
The
Very on
backyard.
the property.
Yeah. Anyway, but I'll let you all decide. But here, okay. So anyway, the Hittites answered Abraham, verse 5. Hear us, my Lord, you are a prince of God among us. Bury your dead in the choicest of our tombs. None of us will withhold from you his tomb to hinder you from burying your dead. Abraham rose and bowed to the Hittites, the people of the land, and he said to them, if you are willing that I should bury my dead out of my sight, hear me and entreat for me Ephron, the son of Zohar, that he may give me the cave of Machpelah, which he owns. It is at the end of his field. For the full price, let him give it to me in your presence as property for a burial place. So he wants to buy it. And by the way, I guess
Which is fair, I think.
Yeah.
But
Appropriate.
he didn't want it for free because he wanted to make sure that because that's the promised land, and he wanted, I don't know, but he
no, you're on the right track.
he wanted it was
Yes,
his, and he
when
didn't
you
want them
buy
to
it,
say they
yes.
could take it back or anything.
Yes,
Yeah.
that makes a lot of
It's not-
sense.
it's
And he didn't want to owe him anything.
Right.
Yes,
Yeah.
and so if he just gets it like as a gift, they can, in hard times, he go, you know that gift I gave you?
I want it
Well,
back.
I had to
Yeah.
take it back because
Yeah.
somebody wants to buy it.
Yeah.
That way also he would
think-
never worry about
I also think that that was kind of like a custom, that's how they haggled.
It
The
is how they,
price.
yes,
Yeah,
it is
it's
how they
like,
haggle.
Oh, I'm let me just give it to you. Was
Yeah.
kind of like part of the whole haggling
Yeah.
process.
Yeah.
And in defense of the other religions, I maybe pounded on a little bit, though I don't think these would be necessarily pagans in the true sense of the word. But keep in mind, Abraham's pretty much the only one, except for his servant where we live, that is a believer in Yahweh.
Mhm.
Right? So many other people are talking about gods, they're talking about their own gods. Right? Abraham was kind of like the outlier, right? Kind of fascinating. But even these other peoples, they clearly believed in tombs. They all kind of, the body meant something. You know, when you think of Adam didn't become a human being until he had his body, and then the Lord breathed into him the breath of life.
But where did
You
his
know.
body come from? The ground.
Yeah.
dirt.
Yeah.
So for ashes you've come, ashes
Yeah.
you shall
Yeah.
return.
So anyway, okay, that's right. So he's going to buy it. That was a good job, Erica. You get a free. What do we call that? Is it called a chitlin? What do you call that?
Lollipop.
No.
What do you, I don't know. It's this weird name. What's that? Those gummy things you give me?
Shilajit.
Yeah, I ain't gonna bother saying that.
Yeah, me
There-
neither.
Okay. Anyway, now,
Shilajit. I've heard some people
Yeah.
call it a shilajit. Shilajit.
now we're going to talk about the pride. But anyway, so okay, we got Abraham still sees himself as a foreigner, even though God said the land's going to be given to him. When you read Hebrews, it talks about that Abraham was looking for the city to come. He was looking for, he wandered around in tents. He was waiting for something more than this.
Well, God promised him his ancestors would own
Yeah.
it, not him.
Yeah. But but then Isaac and Jacob too kind of cruised around. So yeah, they fascinating. Huh. Good job. So anyway, now Ephron was sitting among the Hittites. And Ephron the Hittite answered Abraham in the hearing of the Hittites, or sons of Heth, of all who went in at the gate of the city. No, my Lord, hear me. I give you the field, and I give you the cave that is in it. In the sight of the sons of my people, I give it to you. Bury your dead. Now, this is where a time of like honesty. I don't know if this is the first time you've read this, but how many of you have read this and thought to yourself, Abraham should have took that deal right there. Took it for
No.
free.
No.
No.
I did.
No.
I'm like, bro.
Nothing's free.
Maybe
Yeah.
that's a one-time.
yeah.
You benefit from the first time you did
I love
it,
how she said
but
it,
you're
too.
cut out of negotiations with the.
There's something else too.
brother-in-law.
Yes, no. You're the honorable thing to do is what Abraham. When I first read that, there's somewhere else too. Like, bro, you could have had it for free.
But of course, Abraham.
not really.
Yeah, but like we
But
talked
not
about just a
really.
few minutes ago. that
No.
it was-
Because it was like a play on words, I
That's-
think, in the whole
that's right.
process.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
he really wasn't giving it
Yeah.
to him for free.
Right.
Did you notice how they?
Trying to look
Why do you
He
think?
was let
And I
Abraham
didn't bring this up. He says, "You are a prince of God among us." That's what the Hittites said about Abraham, right?
Mhm.
And so already the mystique, right, of Abraham, something special was about him.
But they knew he was
Right.
pretty wealthy with all
Yeah.
the flocks and so on that he had, didn't they?
Do they think that's what? Do they think that's what? Do you think it's what it was? His wealth, though a wealth would be a sign of what else do you think it would be? He was like a prophet among them, right?
Mhm.
Well, that his God blesses
You
him.
know,
God blessed him. And
God has
Well, what isn't this the same place where God told the guy,
Abimelech?
don't touch Abraham's
yes.
wife?
No, I think word got
So-
around. I
Oh,
think,
yeah.
remember, after 50, 60 years,
Mhm.
this man had, well, remember we talked about this, and this is, so if you're Israel getting ready to go in the promised land, right? We're talking hundreds and hundreds of years in the future. You're finding out about your beginning, right? And you're seeing, hey, oh, Abraham's blessed. If you're a prophet, your claim is that you are sitting into the divine council, or you have seen God. Well, Abraham has, right? The Lord's
Yeah.
appeared to
Well,
him
that's-
many times,
Yeah.
and
and talk to him.
remember, God also made a promise in the covenant. He said, "I will make your name great,"
Mhm.
which I didn't understand years past, but this was huge. If your identity was wrapped up in the community, your identity was kind of through your family, and that's how your name was remembered. And that's why when you buried someone, that wasn't the end. It's why you went to see them, and because it was important that you went to see your ancestors. They were still there in a sense, right? So Abraham took a huge leap of faith to leave all that. See, for us, we can carve out in America. Oh, carve out your own identity. Just go and do something crazy. But it's not like that here. And so, but God says, "Don't worry, basically, I'll make your name great. I will." And well, you could see it. All the people around it go, "Man, you're like the Michael Jordan, the people around here."
Well,
Yeah.
well, he's, but God just made Abraham a superhero. If you think about it,
Yeah.
you couldn't touch him.
Yeah.
You couldn't touch Sarah.
That's right. That's right.
Pharaohs couldn't touch.
Yeah,
Sarah,
isn't it right?
Right.
Excellent point.
right. He's
Yeah.
a Superman.
Yeah.
The
And
only-
I'm
the
sure
thing-
that
is-
word got out, didn't it?
Yeah,
Mhm.
but when Abraham dies, then they're like, that was with your father, not
Yeah.
with you. So, I'm gonna take back, I'm gonna do whatever.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
because that's what people like now.
That's
do.
right. That's right.
So,
And to your point about the fact that he was, if you had a lot of wealth, the Lord blessed you. And but no, you're absolutely right. That's what they're worried. He's kind of concerned. That's why he's gonna. No, I'm gonna pay the full price.
Well, and I think he also proved himself when he went and got Saul.
Lot.
Lot.
This time. that
Yeah.
time.
I think
So
all
I
his.
think
And
all
I'm
his
sure-
little things
I'm
they
sure
sort of
Yeah.
added up.
Yeah.
That word
And
probably
stories.
got out
Yeah.
too.
And
Yeah.
another thing, Jim, even today, all right. So if you want to give land to somebody or just give it, you don't do that. You
Right.
always write, if you notice, you read a sum of $10
Yeah.
or some
Yeah.
kind of money somehow
Right.
is involved with
Yeah.
it. So
You actually sold.
you
Yeah,
actually
Yeah,
even a
you
dollar,
sold.
you hear
Yeah.
a dollar,
Mhm.
but that's
Yep.
what happened to.
Good point. These are all
Yeah.
good points. Okay. So, verse 12. Then Abraham bowed down before the people of the land, and he said to Ephron in the hearing of the people of the land, "But if you will hear me, I give the price of the field. Accept it from me that I may bury my dead there. Okay. There was another time. This is like for extra credit. Don't you answer! This is for extra credit. Okay. King David had a chance. He wanted some land. What happened?
King David? Well, I know another king wanted some land and his wife hooked him up.
Oh!
It didn't work out for him.
Yeah. Yeah. Naboth's vineyard.
Oh,
Yes.
King
yes,
Ahab.
yeah.
Yes.
Remember King David, remember the angel of the Lord was whacking all of Jerusalem because of his sin and numbering the people? And so to stop the angel of the Lord, right? It's to stop the plague. He went up and he was going to he's going to sacrifice there on, I think Aranu was the name of the man's land. And Aranu wanted to give the land to David, King David, for free. And David says, I will not sacrifice my Lord's sacrifices that cost me nothing. And he paid him the full price.
Okay.
Which is kind of interesting because that is where they then built the temple. Which, if you're right about the Bible, Genesis 22, that's also where Abraham was going to sacrifice Isaac.
Okay.
Mount Moriah.
We're reading chapter 18. So it must be past chapter 18.
It's at the end of second
Samuel.
the first Samuel, second chapter, like 22.
Yeah, we're not quite there.
Yeah, we're not.
Okay, well, you're going to get there pretty soon. It's kind of cool. Because the reason why it's because of what David said, I refuse to offer a sacrifice that cost me nothing. And I remember Warren Wiersbe telling, and I was reading a book on preaching. He said, "You should never. It should cost you something every time you put together a sermon, and you should want it no other way. In other words, if it's your sacrifice, it should hurt." Right? You should want something to come by easy. You should want to have to pay for it in
Isn't
some
that what a
way.
sacrifice is?
Yes.
You are giving something up.
Yes.
Hmm.
And I always thought, yeah, that's good to know when you're sitting there crying. Oh, I can't. Oh, this is terrible. I'm tired of having to preach all the time. No, it should. Just like praying, when you get tired. Well, yeah, it's work praying. It could be work. You get also the spirit gets heavy. When you're trying to pray for people and yeah.
Yeah, then you lose focus. And you gotta
Yes,
start
Oh, yeah.
what would you expect when you're going up against the spirits of darkness, right?
Yeah.
Pounding them, kicking them their teeth in, right? Kingdom of heaven, love it. Okay, anyway, so I'm all over the place except where I should be. But all these things trigger me. They trigger me. I see something. Yeah. Anyway, so Ephron answered Abraham, "My Lord, listen to me." And this is interesting. A piece of land worth 400 shekels of silver, which is about 10 pounds of silver. What is that between you and me? Bury your dead. Abraham listened to Ephron, and Abraham weighed out for Ephron the silver that he had named in the hearing of the Hittites. 400 shekels of silver, according to the weights current among the merchants. Okay. 10 shekels of silver, maybe at this time. So it's kind of hard because the measure. Notice the weights current among the merchants of that day. Weights could differ, but 10 shekels of silver was like a year's wages. So 400 on one end seems like a lot.
20 shekels was the price of the firstborn in the temple, right? They brought 20.
Now, is that the same? Was that so that the same as the sanctuary shekel? See, that's the problem we have is like
Different shekels.
now I think who was it that bought the land of Samaria? And it might have been, if he's thinking of King Omri, I think he was the first one that bought Samaria, and he paid 6,000 shekels for that. We have record. See, so it's kind of hard to tell.
Jim, you said what else costs 20 shekels?
Yeah.
It would be a slave,
Slave.
and
Yeah.
cost to bury him.
Okay.
It'd be 20 shekels.
Now, when was that? Is that when
That
was that?
was with when Jesus died.
Okay, so that was like 1,000 years later.
Yeah.
And
They had right. What increase of prices.
Yeah.
Back then, what's that?
Yeah.
Inflation. They
Well,
even had
and,
inflation.
and also we don't know. Yeah, and that's what when I was kind of reading about it. They go. I mean, on one hand, it seems like that could be expensive. In other words, I got a kick out of it because it seems like, oh, what's $2 million to us?
Yeah.
But we can't be sure about that because we have nothing to compare it to.
Jim, can I throw this at you?
Yes, sir.
What's interesting, Abraham, if you think about, came prepared to pay.
He did.
Yet he's already got the money there.
He did.
You don't carry that much kind of years and years of wages around with
Right.
you.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he came there.
He came ready.
He had a game plan.
And you know, and I don't know how true this is, but I've heard Abram being connected to being a merchant. But either way, I'm sure he was over the years. He was quite the businessman. So he already did his due
And
diligence.
And he knew.
And he
how
knew.
much
He
the
knew.
land was.
He knew
valued.
exactly. He's
He
no
knew the
dope.
value.
He's no dope, and he
But
had.
I'd like the
Okay,
way
if you
he,
insist on paying, how about 4,000 shekels?
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Huh.
but I like the way the Hittite did
No,
it, kind of like,
that
you know,
statement there
you have a
makes me
vehicle in
agree
your
with you
backyard, you
more.
know, someone needs the vehicle.
That was their language. Well, you can
Hey,
have it,
I know
but
it's
you
worth
know it's kind of
$1,000,
worth
but I'm
this.
gonna give it to you.
Yeah.
And it's a wealthy person. No,
Don't
no,
do
no.
that
pay me
negotiation
$1,000.
today.
Yeah.
You state the price beforehand so that they know. Yeah. No, what's that? No, you don't. I mean, that's what it's worth, but you're my
That's why
friend.
these people haggle.
Right.
It's a haggling.
No haggling. This is what it's worth.
No property tax. So okay,
Right,
anyway, okay. So the field of Ephron and Machpelah, which was to the east of Mamre, the field with the cave that was in it, and all the trees that were in the field throughout its whole area was made over to Abraham as a possession in the presence of the Hittites before all who went in at the gate of his city. It's interesting to me. He's describing the whole land, what he got, as if the writer wants the reader to know what we're looking at here, right? After this, Abraham buried Sarah, his wife, in the cave of the field of Machpelah, east of Mamre, that is Hebron, in the land of Canaan. The field and the cave that is in it were made over to Abraham as property for a burying place by the Hittites.
And also, I'm wondering the fact that this field was at the end, or this area was
Yeah.
at the end of, kind of like away from the other properties. I'm sure Abraham, that was his.
Well, from what I understand, this was designated a burial place
Okay.
by them, and they were selling. So I was thinking that's another deal that Abraham gets. If it's already cut out, and because cut out in the rock, right? And you'd lay the body. Because he said, "We will give you the choice of our tombs." In other words, we'll give you the. So, anyway, but we've already kind of talked about. It's a big thing for them. I think also, of course, Sarah's death was extremely important. Kind of like what they do with the royals, and they kind of do all the right.
How them to do?
Yeah. Yeah. I take it as the body matters. Interesting. I never would have thought. I mean, I'm trying to change my perspective on that from the culture I was raised in. It matters even after. And again, I'm not anybody who's done. I'm not guilt to nobody. You know, but by the way, you could always take a different stance, but I just think it's fascinating that the way they're treating it.
Now, Greg Laurie says, in his opinion, that cremation has just sped up decomposition 10,000 times. That's what cremation does. It speeds up
You should
decomposition.
think about, where the people that died 1,000 years ago, it's the same spot,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yep.
If they
Yeah.
were cremated at that point. Isn't it?
Yeah.
And then for people to say, well, God can't resurrect your body if you're cremated. I did have somebody say that. And I said, really? So then in World War II, those sailors who went down and the soldiers that went down in Hawaii, I said, those that got burned up, I said, good Christian men. I said, oh, gee, I'm sorry. You were just in a wrong place at the wrong time. I said, do you really think you're limiting God? Or don't you think you're limiting God when you say he can't do this? God created me. He created this whole universe. He can do whatever
True, true.
he
Yeah.
wishes to.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
And so if it's an accident, people who get burned up in a car wreck, no, don't limit God.
Mhm.
Don't
Well,
limit.
when they dropped the bomb on Japan,
Oh,
there one they
goodness.
dropped on a Christian city, right?
Yeah.
There's people that was just vapor.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
was left was a shadow of them.
Yeah.
You know, so but they're still saved.
Oh,
Yeah.
certainly. And God knows every single molecule of their body.
So maybe it's not. It's maybe it's that's the wrong end to look at it, right? So it's not what God can do, but it's our view of the body,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
Because we come from a culture where our bodies are like they're not really us. They're just kind of so it's really what's inside, and that's Platoism. That's not Christian thinking. So yeah, God can, and even still, when your body goes in, but I think it's how we view the body, which I find fascinating,
Okay.
and so I think that's probably more.
Well, Jim, can I throw this at you? Is that God created the body, right?
Yeah.
So if you stick it in fire, that's kind of disrespectful of God's creation.
I think
Could you
it's.
look at it that way?
I think there's something to that. I think because if you think about it, boy, instead of fighting all that, Abram, why not just put her on a boat, light her on fire like you see,
The
and set her down the
Vikings.
river.
Yeah.
Solved. And I don't know. It's but anyway, it's got me thinking about it, which I never would have thought of. And with the Protestant as I am, the Protestant that I am, I never hear of it like that. I don't hear any other view. I never thought to think about it. It's when I started listening to the Eastern Orthodox, have a much more ancient kind of view on things, and I thought, huh. And we can clearly at least hear now. Maybe they treat the body different. So anyway, it's got me thinking.
I just want to be cremated and sprinkled over my parents because my great grandparents were there, and my grandma was
Right.
there. Like it's a family cemetery, so
They got no more room.
they got no more room.
And it's
I
heck
don't
of a
even
lot
have-
cheaper too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My aunt died in Virginia, and they cremated her and then brought her back. She already had a headstone
Yeah.
and then sprinkled her. I'm like, ooh, over my parents.
Yeah. Well, most of it say, when you would think, because you know what, I really don't know this, but the common knowledge is, well, look, when you're dead, you don't care. Or do you? I don't know.
I have an irrational-
I never talked to
Doesn't
anybody.
Paul say the dead know
That one
nothing?
breaks.
Doesn't Paul say the dead know nothing?
No, I don't know.
Is he word because we were just talking about that Sunday?
I'm not going to be
church.
dead.
You're not going to be dead.
Nope.
He wants
Hey,
to be
your
part
body
of
Moody,
is-
I'm going to be more alive than I've ever been. Yeah.
He wants to be part of a coral reef.
Well, I have an irrational fear of being buried. I really do. Like I have like a strong claustrophobia fear in general, and I just think like, I know I'm not going to be in there, but what if I am for a minute? I don't know.
Or
Well,
I
they
was going to
have
say,
bells.
Or-
Yeah, because
outside
they
because
didn't
if
have the
people
thing
were-
to hear their heartbeat and everything.
I mean, I know I'll be
They were in
dead. I have
coma.
confidence the doctors
Yeah.
would say, yeah, that guy's dead.
Especially if you're
But even like, is
embalmed.
there any kind of like,
Oh,
I don't know, it's irrational, I'll admit.
if you're embalmed, I
Well, you
guarantee
definitely-
Yeah,
you
yeah.
will.
I know.
Don't let them take any organs because they're saying people are brain dead and then
I've heard
people
stuff
coming back
about
to
that.
life.
Oh,
Yeah.
does that get you on the early?
I guess there's quite that thing on harvesting
Yeah,
the
they're harvesting
organs.
organs.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
There's no such thing as brain dead.
What?
What?
So my dad was wrong about me?
That is free.
Okay.
No charge.
All right. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, interesting chapter. I think we kind of touched.
Well, back to, out of my sight, that's an expression that parents would use to, I am so angry with you right now, just get out of my sight. I don't even want to see you, get out of my sight. And so that was the first thing that came to my mind when Abraham said, where I can bury my dead out of my sight.
I took it as, well, you wanna put the body to rest. You don't want to be looking at it. But to your point, Chuck, they won't put him on the ground. They put him in a cave.
I like that.
I like
much
that
better.
idea.
Like get a nice little spot. Just
That's
in the
what I want.
cave.
Put me in a cave, cool, with
Okay,
air
I'll
conditioning.
do that.
So you can get up and knock
Standing
on
up in
that.
the
Hey,
corners.
roll this stone
Caught me
away.
in the
Well, you're
front.
not gonna-
Yeah.
I had
You're not gonna
TV
Just
there,
in
so
just in case I do pop out of it.
Well, you don't want the body in your home
Right.
decaying because it's not gonna smell good.
They used to do that back in my grandparents' day. That's where the bodies
Yeah.
were not
There was
embalmed.
no funeral
Yeah.
homes.
They were not embalmed.
Some
There were no
point,
funeral homes. You would have in the living room, and the casket would be there, and the bodies
Yeah.
there, and they would have soup cans at each corner to catch the drips. Yes, and the whole family would be there. I thought, oh my gosh, that's so morbid. It's so horrible.
Yes,
But that is reality. That was in my grandparents,
Hmm.
great grandparents' day.
Soup cans for the drips.
That's right. They would have tin
Okay.
cans, you know,
Okay.
soup cans.
So we'll see if we get
Vegetable cans.
if we get through chapter 24. But here, I never thought about this until just now. But oftentimes when I used to do like a funeral. Like I remember doing a funeral for some friends of mine whose young daughter had died. And so they're just grieving, obviously, because she was only in her 20s.
Mm.
But then they had a little child. So it was like, you got life over here, death over here, life over here, you know. And so I'm thinking, here we are reading about Sarah's death. Well, now we're at the beginning, though, of another life, because we're going to read where Abraham now needs to get a wife for Isaac. Which is interesting, because Isaac, get your own wife. But no.
And he's almost 40, you know.
Okay, so
Not married yet.
we'll see if we can't do this in 20 minutes. Okay, that's soon. Okay, now Abraham was old. Yeah, we know he was old. Well advanced in years. And the Lord had blessed Abraham in all things. And Abraham said to his servant, the oldest of his household, who had charge of all that he had, put your hand under my thigh. Okay, we kind of talked a little bit about that.
Do it
Anyway,
all the time. Swear to me.
swear to me. Oath that I may make you swear by the Lord, the God of heaven and God of the earth, that you will not take a wife for my son. Notice that, the God of heaven and the God of the earth, right? Abraham worships the true. That shouldn't be lost on us, because remember, Abraham was brought out from his family were all polytheists. They all were. They all believed in many gods. So if this was like God is taking out someone, he's going to make a nation out of them. Okay, anyway, put your hand on my thigh that I may make you swear by the Lord, the God of heaven and the God of the earth, that you will not take a wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites among whom I dwell. All these girls are all tattooed up and everything anyway. I don't blame them. Okay, but we'll go to my country and to my kindred and just kidding, by the way, okay? That's just humor. And take a wife for my son Isaac. The servant said to him, perhaps the woman may not be willing to follow me to this land. Must I then take your son back to the land from which you came? Abraham said to him, see to it that you do not take my son back there. The Lord, the God of heaven, who took me from my father's house and from the land of my kindred, and who spoke to me and swore to me, to your offspring, I will give this land. So he's fully aware, right? He will send his angel before you, and you shall take a wife for my son from there. But if the woman is not willing to follow you, then you will be free from this oath of mine. Only you must not take my son back there.
Is Abraham still in Canaan at this point?
He is. He's down that southern, because he's way down south. We're talking Baja California south, right? And for his servant to go where he's telling him to go in Haran, it's like 500 something miles away. It's a long ways away. You got to go all the way up and all the way over into the Haran, Mesopotamia. Yeah.
Huge.
Did you notice that Abraham believes that the angel will go before him,
Mm-hmm.
right? Did you also notice, though, that the woman will still have to make the choice?
Yeah.
So even though God's hand is in this, and if you're like an Israelite getting ready to go to the problem, you're reading this going, oh, you're finding out. So God's in all this. But yet the woman still has free will.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like God's going to make her, right?
And so it's not so much like an arranged marriage. I mean, he is going to get a wife, but she's got to be willing to
Come with him.
come with him. So
Or the
it's
family's willing, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And the only thing she really knows is he's rich,
Yeah.
and she's willing to go. She don't know what he looks like.
No.
Or nothing.
And oh, by the way, neither does
He's
he.
just rich.
He's trusting in Abraham. I mean, so what if he has a beef? What if Isaac had a beef with the servant? Had some kind of beef. I never liked that guy. He's just always on me. I don't like him. And now he's picking out a wife for you. Oh.
Yeah. That'd be,
But we don't think of how it happened. But you never,
But it's quite unique the way he.
Yes, but the point is, so why do you think Abraham, first of all, wants to get a wife back from the family? They are polytheists over there. They don't believe in Yahweh, for one. But he does not want to get a Canaanite girl. And he does not want Isaac
to go there.
to go there.
He's
He
very
wants
adamant
pure
about
blood.
that.
He doesn't want mixed with any kind of giant seed.
Wow.
Mm. Well, also Sarah was didn't want any the marrying any. She even talked about that. So actually, Abraham's doing Sarah's wishes too.
Yeah. It's kind of like, too, like if we were still married, no, we are now Tennesseans. Our son will not go back to California. We don't want any threat of that. We are staying in this land where God told us. So that would be what I think. This is the promised land. This is God's land. I'm not saying Isaac back. He might never come back.
Seems like that's what he was protecting from the most, the way he kind of worded it. Said, I want Isaac to fully trust in God also.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That's what he's saying.
Yeah. And he does not want, and it is, you're right, it is, and it's definitely not like for instance, these are the polytheists over there, but he still wants to keep it in the family. I know it sounds kind of Southern. Its own good. Well, but I actually mean in a good way. They do. They want to keep it. I was thinking of the elites. They still do that today, right? Okay, so think about it. Okay, think of inheritance, right? Remember, that's how they're thinking. See, one thing if you notice, and if you do believe that the elites, the goys, us, they want us to intermingle. Because when you intermingle and you mix everybody up, nobody has an allegiance to anything. Because you're so mixed up land. You haven't, but the elites, on the other hand, you ever notice, like imagine, if you're like Sam Walton, it really matters to you who you're marrying. Because who you marry, right? That's where the money would go. That's where your family lines go. They're definitely, they keep it close. Close. But for
Abraham
but see,
and Sarah was kissing brother and sister.
yeah. Now, so in a way, you can kind of understand why Abraham's doing it. And I think, seeing if you think about it, we know nothing of this. I have a book in there actually that's kind of going all in from the big high up families and where the stuff, but we don't even think that way. That doesn't even come across my mind, but it sure does them.
And I think he's really wanting his son to stay here because he's afraid that if he goes off there, that he might not come back.
It's gonna. Oh yeah, you meet some chick up there,
Oh,
and she's like telling you, "Oh, it'll be the greatest ever. My dad will like give you a job, and you'll be like on top in no time, running the joint." He never comes back.
Yeah.
Because we're kind of loppy that way.
Mm-hmm.
We get suckered in. So, I think so. So what's a dad going to do back when you had the freedom to be a dad? My son ain't going nowhere. you just sit there in that tent and wait for me. Anyway, okay, so the servant put his hand under the thigh of Abraham, his master, that's verse 9, and swore to him concerning this matter. The servant is also pretty obedient.
Mhm.
That's how we should be following Jesus. Jesus tells us to do something, and we just do it.
Well, he had a prestigious job because he was high up in Abraham's.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
he
know
was
what I
with
mean?
Abraham.
So he was
long time.
prestigious, so he probably
Yeah.
took that as an honor
Yeah.
to do that.
Yes.
So they thought we had to go 500 something miles. So it'd take them, if your average, maybe 20 something, 25 miles today, if you're going by yourself a day. So it took like 21 days. I mean, this was. Okay. So anyway, then the servant took 10 of his master's camels. Keep that number of camels in mind. Okay. And departed, taking all sorts of choice gifts from his master. And he arose and went to Mesopotamia. I think that means a land in between two rivers, Euphrates and the Tigris, right? To the city of Nahor. And he made the camels kneel down outside the city by the well of water at the time of evening. Now, see, we gotta go here again with this. The time when women go out to draw water, not the men.
Right.
Okay, because we're too busy doing all
Well,
the fairs and.
yes, you're sitting at the city gate conducting all kinds of business.
Most
The
important.
women who have to do all the work.
And he said, "O Lord, God of my master Abraham." So it seems as though the servant, well, he knows who the Lord is, right? Please grant me success today and show steadfast love to my master Abraham. Behold, I am standing by the spring of water, and the daughters of the men of the city are coming out to draw water. Let the young woman to whom I shall say, please let down your jar that I may drink, and who shall say, drink, and I will water your camels. Let her be the one whom you have appointed for your servant Isaac. By this I shall know that you have shown steadfast love to my master. Okay, so what do you think about the prayer and the sign?
And the what?
And the sign.
Oh, and the sign.
He's asking for God to kind of show him exactly what to do.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's kind of neat, isn't it?
Yeah.
And camels drink a lot, so if she's willing to draw enough for 10 camels,
If they're thirsty,
Yeah.
if the camels are thirsty, which maybe they weren't, because they drink 25 gallons of water. So she had to make hundreds of trips to the, we ain't got that far. But anyway,
Yeah.
yes. So, okay, so then so his sign would be a virtuous woman, go far beyond the call of duty, right? And strong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rebecca was no thin, model looking girl. She was, we go back to the good looking girls with the one with the tattoo, I love dad, and got some muscles.
Yeah. Yeah. She could work.
I mean, she was probably she could work.
Which is important. That means she'd be strong for childbearing and just
Yeah.
a strong woman. You could just picture like these German women, the braids up in the hair.
Well, when you think about in this day, in this time, you all had to work as a matter of survival.
Yeah.
That's why when you took someone, when you married a woman and took her out of the family, you're taking away an important piece of your family surviving. That's why you kind of paid money. Sorry, I've taken away your good workers. Here's
Your dowry.
yeah. And then she would get money too, so that if he decided to divorce, your daughter, she could survive. She could. But anyway, okay. So he's treating it though also like you would, if you went to if you cast lots, you would put things in yes or no answer, right? Binary. Like in other words, he could have asked for wisdom. Would help me to see, but instead, if this happens X, and she goes way past the call, then that's a good sign. I'll go that right, and if
It's
not,
a very clear
yeah,
sign.
yeah, yeah,
There's no question
yeah.
in that.
And of course, we know what's going to
whether that
happen,
was
huh?
Gonna be her or not.
Yes. Before he had finished speaking, behold, Rebecca, and people are kind of going, so imagine if you're reading this, you're going, oh, wow, look at this. Look at this, is amazing. Who was born to Bethuel, the son of Milcah, the wife of Nahor, Abraham's brother, came out with her water jar on her shoulder. The young woman was very attractive in appearance, a maiden whom no man had known. She went down to the spring and filled her jar and came up. Then the servant ran to meet her and said, please, give me a little water to drink from your jar. She said, drink, my lord. And she quickly let down her jar upon her hand and gave him a drink. When she had finished giving him a drink, she said, I will draw water for your camels also, until they had finished drinking. So she quickly emptied her jar into the trough and ran again to the well to draw water, and she drew for all his camels.
10 camels.
And maybe they weren't quite so thirsty, but even still, she's like, that'd be
That's
hours.
a lot of work.
Hours.
Yeah.
I'd be going, heck yeah, I'm going to
Mhm.
marry
But she
you too.
ran again to the well to draw.
Yeah.
She didn't saunter over to that.
Yeah.
well.
The man gazed at her in silence to learn whether the Lord had prospered his journey or not. That was verse 21, 22. When the camels had finished drinking, the man took a gold ring. Now here's Linda's point. Wearing a half shekel and 2 bracelets for her arms weighing 10 gold shekels, and said, please tell me whose daughter you are. Is there room in your father's house? By the way, this is the longest chapter in Genesis, so buckle up. For us to spend the night. She said to him, I am the daughter of Bethuel, the son of Milcah, whom she bore to Nahor. Verse 25. She added, we have plenty of both straw and fodder and room to spend the night. The man bowed his head and worshiped the Lord and said, blessed be the Lord, the God of my master Abraham, who has not forsaken his steadfast love and his faithfulness towards my master. As for me, the Lord has led me in the way to the house of my master's kinsman. Then the young woman ran and told her mother's household about these things. Doing good? Okay. You think God's in this?
Mhm. Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
He's all over this.
Yeah.
And this is important,
I mean,
right?
this is everything that
Yes.
he
Yes.
very specific.
Holy
his
cow.
Prayer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very specific.
Kind of like
prayer.
your doggy story. Yeah.
So you need to someone needs to write a book on, there's a prayer of Jabez. No one's done the prayer of the servant.
Yeah.
Anyway, never mind. Let's go. Rebecca had a brother whose name was Laban.
Laban.
We're going to be reading a whole lot about Laban. Yeah. Oh, Uncle Laban.
Yep.
Uncle Laban. So Uncle Laban. So Laban ran out toward the man of the spring. As soon as he saw the ring and the bracelets on his sister's arms, I know what you guys are thinking. He's thinking, cha-ching, cha-ching.
Yep.
You guys be ashamed of
Exactly
yourselves.
what he's thinking.
I don't know, Laban. So maybe you are.
Yeah.
Okay. It might be right. Okay. I mean, if you had a daughter and you knew some rich guy's going to marry, what are you thinking?
Well, especially if she.
Oh, it was a good thing at that day. In those days.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thus the man spoke to me. He went to the man. As soon as he saw the ring and heard the words of Rebekah, his sister, thus the man spoke to me. He went to the man, and behold, he was standing by the camels at the spring. He said, come in, O blessed of the Lord. And I wonder if that's the same Lord. I don't know. Why do you stand outside? For I have prepared the house and a place for the camels. So the man came to the house and unharnessed the camels, and gave straw and fodder to the camels, and there was water to wash his feet, and the feet of the men who were with him. Then food was set before him to eat. But he said, I will not eat until I have said what I have to say. He said, speak on. So he said, I am Abraham's servant. The Lord has greatly blessed my master, and he has become great. He has given him flocks and herds, silver and gold, male servants and female servants, camels and donkeys. And Sarah, my master's wife, bore a son to my master when she was old. And to him he has given all that he has. My master made me swear, saying, you shall not take a wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites in whose land I dwell, but you shall go to my father's house and to my clan and take a wife for my son. I said to my master, perhaps the woman will not follow me. But he said to me, the Lord before whom I have walked will send his angel with you and prosper your way. You shall take a wife for my son from my clan and from my father's house. Then you'll be free from my oath when you come to my clan. And if they will not give her to you, you will be free from my oath. It's interesting to me how he repeats everything word for word what was, and it's recorded that way. It must be something highly significant, right? Could have said the same thing he said before, he said that, right? But no, he makes sure he repeats it all. I came today to the spring and said, this is verse 42, O Lord, the God I master Abraham, if now you are prospering the way that I go, behold, I am standing by the spring of water. Let the virgin who comes out to draw water, to whom I shall say, please give me a little water from your jar to drink, and who will say to me, drink, and I will draw for your camels also. Let her be the woman whom the Lord has appointed for my master's son. Before I had finished speaking in my heart, behold, Rebekah came out with her water jar on her shoulder, and she went down to the spring and drew water. I said to her, please let me drink. She quickly let down her jar from her shoulder and said, drink, and I will give your camels drink also. So I drank, and she gave the camels drink also. Then I asked her, whose daughter are you? She said, the daughter of Bethuel, Nahor's son, whom Milcah bore to him. So I put the ring on her nose, and she let him do it,
Yeah.
and the bracelets on her arms. Now she's all in on that one. Then I bowed my head and worshiped the Lord and blessed the Lord, the God of my master Abraham, who had led me by the right way to take the daughter of my master's kinsman for his son. So he's kind of evangelizing too, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now then, if you are going to show steadfast love and faithfulness to my master, tell me. And if not, tell me that I may turn to the right hand or to the left. Then Laban and Bethuel answered and said, the thing has come from the Lord. We cannot speak to you bad or good. At least they recognize when God's doing something, huh? Behold, Rebekah is before you. Take her and go, and let her be the wife of your master's son, as the Lord has spoken. When Abraham's servant heard their words, he bowed himself to the earth before the Lord, and the servant brought out jewelry of silver and of gold and garments and gave them to Rebekah. So that's kind of, right, the gifts to her. He also gave to her brother and to her mother costly ornaments. And he and the men who were with him ate and drank, and they spent the night there. And here's another trigger thing for me. When they rose in the morning, he said, send me away to my master. Her brother and her mother said, let the young woman remain with us a while, at least 10 days. After that, she may go. But he said to them, do not delay me, since the Lord has prospered my way. Send me away that I may go to my master. This might be random, but you remember the one time in Judges when, I can't think of who the man was. It was his wife ran away. He went and got her back. She went to her father's house. He's probably pretty abusive. And then he would say, okay, her and I, we're going to leave. And then the dad said, just stay the night, have some food. So he stayed. And then next night, we're going to leave. Oh, just stay another night. And he kept doing it over. And I always wonder why. Why didn't he leave? Remember, that was the same one where eventually, remember, he went to a town of Benjamites, and he wound up giving the wife over to them to leave him alone or something. They wound up raping her, and then she was on the threshold, and she was killed.
And
He cut her up in pieces.
12 pieces.
But anyway, it struck me the whole character of the guy. He kept on staying around Dad's house. Well, I know the servant here is like, no, We're gone. I'm gone. I come here to get a job done. So tomorrow I'm going to be like him. In other words, I always wonder something to that. Like why does the Bible tell us that that particular man just kept sticking around while Dad kept feeding him, getting him drunk, and then
Yeah.
you know. So anyway, again, that was for free, kind of pointless, but anyway, that triggered me. They said, "Let us call the young woman now and ask her." And they called Rebecca. So I wonder why they stayed for 10 days.
So he can come up with some reason to keep them longer.
Yeah.
10 is a significant number.
That's what I was thinking, because remember, check us for 10 days, Daniel, right? Check us for 10 days and then
Yeah.
see if we look any worse for wear for eating only vegetables and not the king's choice food. Or you will have tribulation for 10 days in the book of Revelation, chapter 2 or 3 with the churches, right? One of the churches. Stand firm. So the idea of 10 days is significant. Yes, ma'am. Okay. Anyway, so, but he wants to go. So now, okay. Now they go, Rebecca. Now Linda seemed to intimate that she went for the money. Well, we're going to see. So they sent away, okay, and they called Rebecca and said to her, "Will you go with this man?" Verse 58. She said, "I will go." And you know what? This is the kind of woman you need, because you need an adventurous woman, because she is.
Well, she probably recognized God working too in all of it.
Oh yeah. Look, I like, and yeah. Look, you give a girl rings and jewelry, yeah, but go to some place 500 miles away, never met the guy.
But
Need-
she did know, I mean, it is family and he is wealthy.
I'm trying to veer away from that, Mama. You keep
But,
going back
well,
to.
the reason I'm thinking that is she obviously had to work. She's the one who was going out drawing all the water for the household. So maybe she was kind of, I don't know, maybe
I
she
think
just had to get a bit of a break. I'm gonna go
Okay.
on vacation here. This guy's
No,
wealthy. I'm gonna have to work where I'm there, but it might not.
I think that is a 21st century TikTok lady.
Okay, but I don't.
But no, I don't think, honestly, I
don't know.
don't think she
I
would
think
have
she
thought that way.
Yeah, I think she personally. I think she recognized that God was in this.
I think, yeah, I think that was what it is. I'm just thinking most ladies, and I know you ladies, I know you're not going to go. No, I don't care how, you're not going to go for a little bit of money if you think the guy's a creep. You're just not going to do it. So now, again, we can't put us in her shoes because she thinks totally different. But I do think that she saw that the outlier be she saw God working.
Mm-hmm.
And God bless her, she's just crazy enough. Let's do this. Let's just follow, right?
Would they have known anything about Abraham? Would word have gotten to them this far away about Abraham?
It would be kind of hard. Well, because 500 something miles and CNN hadn't been invented yet.
His brother lived here.
Yeah,
He
but
had two brothers. One died, which was Lot's
Yeah.
dad, and then Nahor.
yeah, but I mean, they've
So-
been apart for all these years. So, in other words, the only way they would get any news of a traveler,
Traveling, yeah.
which could
Or
have been.
if the relatives talked about him, like the uncle or the.
Well, what I'm saying is, what's to talk about if they haven't talked to him in 57 years?
Well, I had brothers. One of them died. Another one lives over here. His name's Abraham.
Yeah, I'm just.
You know, I
wondering
mean,
if-
I would have told my kids. Yeah, I tell my kids about my brothers and sisters. that I
Oh
haven't seen in
no,
a
okay.
long
I thought
time.
you were meaning, did they know anything about Abraham and who he was and
Yeah,
his exploits and
That's
stuff?
what
That's
she
what I
was
meant.
asking.
Yeah,
whether
yeah.
She's saying that it was.
Yeah.
Would they have known anything about Abraham?
I don't. Yeah, I don't. I mean, you don't hear Uncle Laban go, "How is Abe doing? How's he doing?
No.
I missed him. He was so
Right.
funny. We were kids. He always used to pull my finger and he'd fart." Anyway.
It's too late.
Sorry.
I want to edit that right now.
Okay. Anyway. Okay.
The last 3 Wednesdays.
It must be in the water. All right. All right.
Where did you
Okay.
find this guy, Linda? Really?
He's been on me too.
Oh,
Okay,
creeping around
okay.
you. Okay, so the odds are they would not have known anything about Abraham, probably. I see, I
Probably
was
since
just,
it took him a month to get there.
yeah, yeah. But I was just wondering, I mean, news does
Pull my
travel.
Well, and here's the thing. So, I mean, the fact that Abraham knew that his family, remember, it said, okay, so it said back here in chapter 22 at the end. Now, after these things, 22:20, it was said, now, after these things, it was told to Abraham, behold, Milcah also has borne children to your brother Nahor. Uz is firstborn, or Uz, Buz his brother, Kemuel the father of Aram, Chesed, Hazo, Pildash, Jitloth, and Bethuel. Bethuel fathered Rebekah. These 8 Milcah bore Nahor, Abraham's brother. Moreover, his concubine, whose name was Rumah, bore Tebet, Gaham, Tahash, and Makkah. So
It was told to Abraham.
So Abraham knew, which is why he, in the
Right.
story, this is put in here to kind of give us a tip as to why.
But if Abraham knew about them, then why couldn't they have known about Abraham?
I think they would have heard, well, they probably would have heard, like, so you would have got certain stories. So yeah, it could be. It could be.
And I was just wondering because if
Yeah.
they did know anything about it, then perhaps she might have been a little more predisposed. Yeah, I'm willing to go. I've heard good things about Uncle Abraham, you know?
Yeah.
Well,
I
and
don't know.
so that's
Obviously, we don't
right.
know.
So, and that's the thing too. Like when your family talks about you, I don't know if it's always going to be good, right? So, this, see what I'm saying? So, but yeah, I mean,
I'm sorry. I should have brought that up. but
no,
was
no. I
just
mean, I think that's
wondering
fair.
if
I
it was-
think
if
I
they
try to
knew
think like to what
anything.
extent, like, so they would have got, maybe they heard some kind of news about Abraham, though the servant had to explain about Abraham's life. He had to say he had a son. In other words,
Right.
they, as if they didn't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
They didn't
okay.
know.
Yeah.
And he
all
kind of had to
right.
recount all that. So they would have had scan information.
Yeah,
But
they would have known
Yeah.
maybe that's
Yeah,
where
yeah.
he was living, but that's about it.
yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Anyway. So, verse 59, they sent away Rebekah, their sister, and her nurse, and Abraham's servant and his men. And they blessed Rebekah and said to her, our sister, may you become thousands of 10,000s, and may your offspring possess the gate of those who hate him. Then Rebekah had her young women arose and rode on the camels and followed the man. Thus the servant took Rebekah and went his way. It's just pretty amazing for do that, I think.
So they took those camels and because they knew that they'd be bringing back an entourage with them.
Yes.
But
The
then
names.
they
Yeah.
had all kinds of goodies that they
Yeah.
took, so they
Yeah.
needed
Yeah.
Well,
camels
Abraham told them
transport.
to take the camels.
Yeah,
right?
all the
Or
stuff-
that God
yeah.
didn't tell them.
Yeah. And Abraham was convinced that God would be with him,
Mm-hmm.
right? Though, he did leave out that caveat that, she could say no, that God's not going to force her to do something that she doesn't want to do. But then God knew what she would say,
Oh yeah, yeah.
right?
God knew her heart.
God knew her
Yeah.
heart. Yeah.
And perhaps God had been working on her heart
Yeah.
because obviously, as you pointed out, where they were basically pagans. They did not
Yeah.
worship Yahweh.
Yeah.
So
See, here's the thing about Rebecca too, going like wanting that, we think, oh, she wanted to get a break. Well, the fact that she was so willing to water the servant's camels shows that she was far from being unhappy. She was right. She was a little go-getter, and
Yeah.
she just, I think, to your point, I think she witnessed God's calling,
Mhm.
and just like us, you got to take a risk. There's a risk involved. I mean, even when you see all that, okay, God's doing this, but will he be with me when I go there? Will he be with me on the way? And there's a lot of unknown. And she said, I'll go.
But yeah, God had been working on her these months or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, God's always working. Now, what she knew, I don't know. It's really interesting, but
It don't say.
no, it doesn't say. But it is pretty cool to sell it. I mean, I never looked at her this way, but her faith, which she's going to need it. That's what Gandalf told to Bilbo. When Bilbo was talking about his, I don't know, courage or something. If Bilbo's talking about it, and he goes, "So you have courage, Bilbo. You're going to need it." Bilbo's standing there going, "What?"
I mean, I would not have been willing to do what Rebecca did. Go to
Yeah.
although I did, didn't I? But
Well, I don't even know what he looks like. Of course.
yeah, but a little scary too. I mean, when you're with your family,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, I mean, she's walking away from everything
Right.
she
Yes,
knew,
she
and at that time, it
knew.
wasn't like I'll come back once every
Right.
few months. We'll visit.
Yeah,
If she knew it was
I'll
like,
get in the
we
buggy
probably
and
won't
I'll
see
just
each
come
other
back. No,
That's a
ever
good
again.
point.
Yeah,
And I was
them again.
and I was reading about that, and that's why they may want her to stay. And they're a little
Yeah,
worried
just
because
that was,
usually,
give us a minute. to
if
say
you
goodbye.
move only like 10 miles away and
You'll-
something happens,
You'll definitely
we're
get to
close.
see. Yeah,
But if you move that far, like, well,
that's it.
you're on your own.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's that you've just moved to Europe.
Yeah.
We're not flying over there to see you, honey. That's
Yeah.
it. You're
That's it.
gone. Are you sure you want to go?
Yeah.
Yes, I'll go.
Hmm.
So definitely God had been.
Well, and they saw God working in this, so that's why they probably gave her the choice, because they probably would have said, no,
No, you're not taking our daughter.
we're not. No, she's staying here. Anyway, so verse 62.
Yeah.
Now Isaac had returned from Beer Lahai Roy, right? Beer Lahai Roy. And was dwelling in the Negev. That's way down south in the desert region, southern Judah. And Isaac went out to meditate in the field toward evening. And he lifted up his eyes and saw, and behold, there were camels coming. And Rebekah lifted up her eyes, and when she saw Isaac, she dismounted from the camel and said to the servant, "Who is that man walking in the field to meet us?" The servant said, "It is my master." So she took her veil and covered herself. And the servant told Isaac all the things that he had done. Then Isaac brought her into the tent of Sarah, his mother, and took Rebekah, and she became his wife, and he loved her. So Isaac was comforted after his mother's death.
Isn't Bear Lahai Roy where the servant,
Yeah,
where God met her and told her go back to Sarah?
yeah, that's why it was running through my head. I think so. And so when Isaac just happens to come out to meditate, the God leave because he's the first one that lays eyes on Rebekah. And of course, you always kind of veiled yourself back in that culture when you're betrothed, and brought her to the tent. Now Sarah was like the top woman, right? So to bring her into the tent was now saying basically, Rebekah, now you. And and yeah, and pretty cool, huh? I mean, Isaac. We don't see so much of Isaac. I mean, Isaac was born, was made fun of, was offered as the one and only son, and he didn't say anything. He was faithful, and now this. So what's your thoughts? I did all the work on that one, even all the jokes for free.
Yeah, well, I did too much talking, so.
No, you can't do too much talking. It's all good. It's what we're doing. No, you did good.
It's hard sometimes not to put your own feelings onto
Yeah.
somebody else, and yet that's
Yeah.
just not the way it would have been.
Well, well, Jim talked about a little bit about this, is that we live in our time,
Yeah.
and we're trying to push our thoughts back on
Yeah,
them,
yeah.
Our
and what we
culture,
should have our
yeah,
heart
and
open
our
to see
cultures,
how they
Yeah.
look at it. And that's what's really cool about studying, is how did they look at it, not how we
Right.
Yeah.
how we look at it. We already know that,
Yeah.
right?
I'm
Well-
not going with him.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
Who is this dude?
Yeah. Are you out of your mind? I never met the guy. What is a jerk?
I want a picture. That'd be the first thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. What is a jerk? Wait, no, but the thing is, too, now we do eventually get to us, but if you're going to interpret it rightly, you first have to start with how would they have saw it, and then once you get the best you can, so you can't get into the mind of Isaac, you can't get into the mind of Rebecca, but you can look at how their culture is, and
Now, was she the only young woman in this family? The fact that she came out, or did she? Doesn't say she had sisters.
yeah.
She had a
Doesn't say
brother
whether-
Laban.
Yeah,
That
that's
we
all
know.
she saw. That told us.
Well, it says in verse 60, you're our sister, live bountifully, and your children triumphantly. So they sent them off. Their sister Rebecca with her maid.
Yeah.
So
You can look back at end of chapter 22 and see who else was in the. Though I don't know if that was an exhaustive list neither. I mean, I think really the point of this whole little genealogy in chapter 22, verse 20, is like a bridge. In other words, it's kind of tipping off to us, hey, we're going to be getting to Rebecca here, right? Because if you didn't have that little bridge of, this person had Rebecca, you'd be like, where's she coming from, right? And
But what I was thinking was, if she went out to get water,
yeah,
but if she leaves, then who's going to be doing this?
yeah,
Laban?
yeah.
No. It was
Well-
the women's job.
Well,
to
now
do
he could
that.
buy servant girls.
Well,
Well,
see,
he's got servant girls.
she
Yeah.
has
Yeah.
multiple slaves.
That's great. Yes, he
If
gave
you
him a
notice,
yes.
not just one, she
One.
had multiple.
Yeah.
She went with him.
So,
So that would then say that Laban had quite a few.
yes,
so
yes.
they may have been there helping with the camels too.
Yes,
Yes, that's what I
Yes,
was
yeah.
thinking.
and you had to have that. It was all hands on deck. That's one thing I thought was cool. When I first came out to the South, noticed all the houses were so big. I couldn't understand why. Well, farmers, you have to have a lot of people on.
Yeah.
But didn't they just add on to their house when somebody got married?
They did.
They would start building a room.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
exactly.
So you get a big
That's
house.
exactly.
That's how, like, the Chinese, they got like the thing, like the parents were here, and then I think they went to the daughters. I don't think they. Anyway, then the children would
Okay.
just live out. So
Yeah.
on the moon.
I don't know how common this is. What Abraham's doing. I don't think this probably happened very often, if at all. So
One of the things that jumped out at me is just the trust in God, right?
Yeah.
Saying, trust in God with all your heart and lean not on your own
Yes.
understanding. Because for them, like, all of this is just, I would think, like completely foreign, starting with Abraham. Say, come away from your family, come
Yeah.
over here. And you just have to completely trust. And then Abraham saying, well, I need a wife for Isaac, but I'm just going to completely trust in you to make this happen. And then the servant, kind of the way he prayed.
yeah.
And
that-
Rebecca, even
yeah.
everybody's just like, okay, this is God. So an example of just have to trust, right? And probably for them, in the face of incredible uncertainty compared to what we would.
Yes.
But
Yeah,
obviously,
well.
God was working this. Otherwise, why her?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, really? What
Yeah.
are the odds?
Yeah.
No, the odds are totally.
So if you're like
God,
if you're like an Israelite reading this, so you're learning about the history of your people as you're getting ready to go in the promised land, you're seeing very clear, God was in this all over the place.
Absolutely, because he brought her out.
Yeah.
And the servant had said, if she will do this, Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
okay, so she did accept, because God put it in her to do that.
You know, and
Yeah.
as you talk about trust, you know, everything was kind of like what was going on here is not something that would ordinarily happen. But then when that's, do you trust if everything is kind of going your way? In other words, you know, if everything is kind of, I guess you still can, but so a lot of things would be like unconventional,
Well,
but yet you still see God working all of it, but still unconventional.
well, the Quranic marriage law provided that the consent of the bride must also be obtained,
Yeah.
not just from her family,
Yeah.
but her
Okay.
too.
Good.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the reason why they called her out there and said, and she said, "I'll go."
Yeah. Yeah. Which is amazing. So she's kind of leaving her comfort. She's leading her family and what they can provide, and going with, okay. So he's had some goods,
Mm-hmm.
and I think she, like you said, Linda, she clearly could see God was in this, but still,
But can you believe Abraham's servant? Just picture yourself. You just walked 500
yeah,
miles.
yeah,
You just walk up to the well.
Yeah.
I would faint. I just can't
yes, yeah. Before he finished speaking,
yeah. Give me some water. Give me
Yeah.
But, can you
Wow.
imagine just walking by the Bible? He just walked up.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
there she was.
And so, like, yeah, imagine how his faith was bolstered. I mean,
Right.
how much I mean, whatever he started out in believing in, he came back a believer.
Yes.
Oh, most
Oh, yeah.
definitely.
But verse 51, behold, Rebecca is before you. Take her and go and let her be
Yeah.
the wife of your master's son, as the Lord has
Yeah.
spoken.
Now, so okay, so Rebecca's going to go through some heartbreak. Isaac and Rebecca are. So we see that the servant, you know, you go where the Lord is telling you to go, but it's not going to be easy. There's all kinds of pitfalls in the way. Sometimes things don't make sense, right? But you trust. And so whatever. And another cool thing, like, we don't know. Like, it sure seemed like the servant was a believer. We don't know how much. We know he referred to the God of his master Abraham. But what's amazing with God is he'll like, that's good enough for right now. And then if you let now, but I wonder. But now when he goes back with her, I like to think his faith has grown.
Yeah.
Because wow, like you said, he prayed and literally before he finished speaking,
He looked
There
up.
it is.
Wow!
Exactly.
This works. I can't believe it.
Can you imagine when she was serving him water? He's probably thinking, please give water to Campbell's.
Yeah.
So she did. He was ready to go home then, probably.
Yeah. And there'll be a similar experience later on as when Jacob will run here.
Yeah.
Right.
And see, then he gets, because Laban was wanting her to stay 10 more days.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, Jacob, he ends up staying
Yeah.
a whole lot longer than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A whole lot. Yeah.
I just found it interesting that the servant, at the moment that this happened, got down and worshipped in front of
Yeah.
Rebecca,
Mhm.
said it out loud, and worshipped while she was there. I mean,
So she knew.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
probably just fell to his knees.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
just was so amazed.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then it says in the book, it says he prayed silently up there. But
Yeah.
after that, I believe he said out loud.
Out
how
loud,
yes.
it was
Yeah.
not silent.
Well, he was sending a message to Laban and to her that God is in this.
Yes.
This is God's doing. Remember, because Laban even pointed out, we can't say nothing good or bad. Clearly, the Lord's doing something here. And that was part of it. You know, he's like, hey, God's in this. We need Rebecca to come, right? So
So the application for us today is that the Lord can work in our
Yeah.
lives the same way how it worked this way.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
And if you pray that God will bring you a puppy
Mm.
or a doggy,
He will.
and
Did you really, Pat? Did you really pray?
oh, I did. Oh, absolutely.
Oh.
I asked Jesus. I
Oh,
said,
what an add-on to this,
Yeah.
I said,
this
if you'll
lesson.
just, I really
That's
want a doggy. I
beautiful.
want a doggy, and I need
Aw.
a little one. and an older one would be just perfect. So
And the breeds that you want.
yes, I wanted a Yorkie poo. Yeah,
Mhm.
I wanted a Yorkie
Aw.
poo. So God said, "Hey, I got one for you, but you got to wait till
Mhm,
Wednesday night."
Aw.
Yeah, I think that's a good application. I think being faithful, and God will call us to do things, and um, not always easy, kind of out of our comfort zone. And I think it happens on purpose. In this case, you can imagine. I don't know what the servant's thinking. And today,
Oh.
TikTok age, we'd be going, really?
Yeah.
500 something miles to go find a girl. I could just go next door. There's a couple down here who would love Isaac. Solve the whole problem. But no, And, but God, this is what, and the servant did what his master wanted. No questions asked. Okay, this is what you want. This is what we're going to do. Oh, and by the way, God will send his angel ahead, and he has to believe that. Oh, he will. Yes, he will.
Yeah.
Okay. And and it seemed like he didn't have any laws, because he kind of, oftentimes you would use lots. It's kind of like what is it, thummim? How do you pronounce it? The two stones that the high priest had. They were kind of like we're casting lots. And so you would put things in yes or no. He didn't have laws. He didn't have that. So he kind of phrased it in a way, the prayer. But he's just he's doing the best he could. That's also kind of comforting, right? You don't have to get everything. You don't have to say forget to say in Jesus' name or something like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yes, there's a way to do, but God will take you where you are.
Wasn't his prayer a direct prayer? It was no formalities
No.
to it. It
That
was
was
just
just-
right
Yes.
to the point.
Yeah.
But
Right
it
to the
was
point.
very
Yeah.
specific.
He
Yes.
was.
Got to give me water and also be willing to water. And he didn't hint, will you please water the camels? She said, and let me do this, which is.
He was doing similar to what Hezekiah asked, remember, about the sun going back. In other words, he was making it to where it was obvious.
Very
He was,
specific.
he was saying, if you're in this, God, tell me exactly what to do.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
very
yeah.
specific.
Yeah, not give me hints.
Yeah.
Well, I
Yeah.
think it's interesting though that he never called him his God. It was always Abraham's
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Even though he was thanking God, he was thanking the God of Abraham.
Yeah.
But that was
That's
tradition.
interesting.
Yeah.
But that was pretty
How
much
is
how
that?
everybody.
Yeah.
Thought that he
spake
was
back
his
then.
servant.
Because
Yeah.
Jacob
Yeah.
does it all the way through, the God of my father.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jacob says that a lot.
And by the way, one thing we should add to that, as you brought that up, is you'll see all the other gods, and the gods were usually named after places. I think Yahweh is the first one who was named after a people. The God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob. I'm your God. And that was something that was kind of revolutionary compared to the
Yeah.
people around.
That's
Yeah.
true.
That's very tough.
So,
You bring that up.
yeah. So anyway, there's a lot here. Yep. You're right. You guys are right about the being trusting God. And Rebecca, we're going to see more. Rebecca was, God is really impressed with her. And she's going to need it. Because you know what's going to, right? She is going to have twins. And she's going to have heartbreak.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's it. See, that's something else too. When God calls us into an adventure, when we think adventure, we think of, like,
All happy and all.
yes, where it's fun and a lot of pain. God is with you every step of the way. There's a lot of pain, though, involved in it.
But the ending always good.
Yeah,
It's all about
that's
the
right.
ending.
That's right. So we're all looking forward to the city to come. God's
Amen.
city. Yeah. That's right. No, the pain is kind of like the outlier. It's kind of, well, look at our Lord Jesus. The pain he endured, right? For the joy set before him, he endured the cross, endured the shame. Okay. Really good. So we only have left, we have one stint left. You think, okay, I'm so proud of Abraham. He buried Sarah. Sad, but it had to be. And
He
then we're like,
wasn't done. He was.
well, I was going to say, then we're like, okay, now Isaac's got a wife. and we're all good, right? No, because Abraham's, I guess, gets a third dose of midlife crisis, and he's going to take another wife. Well, and it makes sense because your goal as a man, have as many children as possible.
But God did not say that, they will be as numerous as the sand, the sea, or the stars. He didn't say, but you have to father them all directly. He did not say that to Abraham.
Well,
said,
he
"They
missed
will
that
be
memo.
They will be your descendants. Your descendants.
But you will see that after he marries again and has more sons, I think that's impressive.
But he sends them all off.
He sends it, gives them gifts, and sends them all off because
Everything
Isaac's
goes
the
to
chosen
Isaac.
one.
Isaac, and you can't, we can't, because what we're concerned about, we don't want inheritances to get mixed or
Right.
somebody to claim, oh, I get part of the inheritance. No.
No.
And for most of us broke people, we don't have any inheritance to give. So that is
Yeah, they just ignore us.
all right. Okay. This was good. You guys did a really good job on that. Okay. Who would like to close out in a word of prayer? Need any prayer requests? How is your health doing, Erica?